Hey everyone, so today we're going to be making this beautiful strawberry turtle. As you can see here, we've got the eyes, the blush for the cheeks, we also have the fins, these back fins, and then we've got our strawberries topping. We've actually made this in velvet yarn, but this part here we've made in cotton yarn. So you'll need some 4-ply cotton yarn as well in green if you can, and maybe in white and pink. And as you can see here, this is cotton yarn here as well, but everything else is in velvet yarn. I'll just show you what the velvet yarn looks like, the one that I have. This is it here, and it's very soft. This is like the first time I've ever used it, but it recommends a 6.5mm hook, but I actually use a 4mm hook in this pattern. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So here's my 4mm hook. You'll also need a pair of cutters. You'll need a sewing needle. You might need one that's a little bit thick here so you can fit the velvet yarn through that, but then you might need a smaller one for the cotton yarn as well. And then we have a 1.9mm hook, which we will use for this kind of stalk-ish part of the strawberry, but that's with the 4-ply cotton yarn. And you will of course also need some 9mm black safety eyes here, or you could just kind of make them yourselves with some 4-ply black cotton yarn, depending on what you like to do there. And lastly, you will also need some fiber filling or stuffing, as we call it. Okay, let's get straight into it. So to begin this off, let's start making the front fins, if you will. So we're going to be using this red velvet yarn with our 4mm hook. And we're just going to start by making a magic ring. Now, if you've never used velvet yarn or chunkier yarn, you might take a few goes to get the practice in, just so you can know what the stitches look like, where they are, and things like that. So after you've made this magic ring, you're now going to make 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So here's my second one. Oh, and by the way that I crochet is I go yarn under first and then yarn over. So I'm going to be doing that throughout the whole piece. So that's 3. Here's number 4, 5, and finally number 6. There we go. So once we've done that, we're going to pull this yarn tail ever so gently, but pull it all the way if you can. But don't pull too tight either, because you don't want that beautiful yarn to snap, and it's very delicate, so you just do have to be careful. Another thing that you can do there if you wanted to is add a little bit of cotton yarn whilst you're making the magic ring, just to firm it up and make it easier to work with. But then after that magic ring, take away that cotton yarn or weave it in or something like that. Now we are going to finish each round this time with a slip stitch and chain 1, so we're not crocheting in a spiral. Now for the second round, we're going to just be making increases in every single stitch. So an increase is 2 single crochet stitches inside 1 stitch space. As you can see here, that's what I've just made there. And we're going to repeat this a total of 6 times so that you have 12 single crochet stitches in the round once you've finished. And there we go. So now I've got 12 single crochet stitches in the round, and I'm going to make a slip stitch and chain 1 to finish off that second round. Now in the third round, we're just going to do a single crochet stitch, and then in every other stitch we'll make an increase. So it will be single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, all the way around, repeated a total of 6 times. So I'll let you do that, pause the video, and then come back once you're done. Third round is now done, just completing the slip stitch and chain 1. There we go. Okay, so for round 4 this time, remember we're making the front fins. We're going to be going like this: single crochet stitch number 2, and then an increase. So 1 single crochet stitch and then the second one in the same stitch space. So I'll do that again: single crochet stitch, and increase. And I want you to repeat that again a total of 6 times until you finish the round, and then make that slip stitch and chain 1 to finish. The 4th round is now complete. Slip stitch, chain 1 to finish that 4th round. And finally, one more round to go. This time we are still increasing. We'll make 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and then of course an increase. So you can see we're kind of just increasing every single round here. So this time it's 3 single crochet stitches and then an increase for a total of 6 times to have 30 stitches in the round. And once you've finished that, then we'll go ahead and make that slip stitch and chain chain nothing really, because we will be fastening off the yarn. And here we go, here's the 5th round. So I'm just going to finish off with that slip stitch. And now this is the part where it's a little bit different. We're not going to chain 1, but what we will do is fold our fin just like this, and this will begin that corner sort of seam all the way. We're going to push the yarn tail inside because we don't need that anymore. And then without chaining, all I'm going to do is come into these front and back stitches. So I'm trying to get in there so you can see that front and back stitches just like that, and you're going to work single crochet stitches all the way across. So all the way across, going in both the front and back stitches. There's probably like maybe 15-ish or so odd stitches. You don't really have to count these. Just make sure you're getting into both the front and back stitches for every stitch that you can see, and you're going to work your way all along the top of this until you get to the very last stitch. And there we go. So we've just finished that now, and we're just going to fasten this off. You don't need to leave a long yarn tail here, no need at all. And the reason is because we'll actually be using cotton yarn to do all the sewing, not the velvet yarn, because I find it's a little bit too fragile to be doing sewing with this type of yarn. So we'll be using cotton yarn to do the sewing later. And make sure you make 2 of these, and these will be the front fins. Okay, and now we're on to the back fins, and these will be a little bit smaller than those front fins. So let's just begin again by making our 6 single crochet stitches inside a magic ring. Super easy now that you've done it once. So let's do it again. Here's 1 single crochet stitch, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and finally number 6. Okay, grab that yarn tail right at the end here and pull it nice and gently, giving it a little bit of an angle so you can pull it nice without trying to accidentally snap it, which has happened many a times for me. Now I'm going to have my hook weave into that very first stitch, and then pull it, come in here, slide in with that slip stitch, and chain 1. Now for the second round, it's just exactly the same. We're going to be making increases in every single stitch until you have a total of 12 stitches in the round. Second round now complete. I've already made that slip stitch, and here's my chain 1. Now for the third round, we're just making a single crochet stitch and then an increase all the way around, just as you did before. So again, single crochet stitch and then increase. So make sure you pause that video so that you can stop and start at the same time as myself. Okay, complete that all the way around to finish round 3. Round 3 is now done, but I have to make that slip stitch with the chain 1. So slip stitch and chain 1, there we go. Now for round 4, and this will be the final increase round, we're making 2 single crochet stitches and then an increase. So here's the increase right here, and we're going to repeat that again a total of 6 times. So single crochet stitch, and increase in the same space. Okay, complete that all the way around, and then we'll close it off. 4th round is now done, just completing the slip stitch and chain 1. There we go, and we actually don't even need to chain 1 for this one, just because we are now going to be folding our fin. And remember, this is the beginning of the corner. And then add that yarn tail inside because we don't need to see that on the outside, which is great. And then come in here, and remember, we're going to be going through both the front and back stitches all the way across our fin until we've closed it up. And we're going to be making single crochet stitches all the way across. So again, through both the front and back stitches there all the way across. So we'll do that together now. So I'm just working my way all the way across, hiding in that yarn tail as well when you don't, because you don't want to start weaving that in through your stitches too. So make sure you hide that quite well. And there we go. So we just finished that. I think it's the dorsal fin, I'm not quite sure, but it's the back fin anyway. And we're just going to cut off some yarn, because again, you don't need to have a lot of yarn cut off here because we will be weaving it. No, we won't be weaving this in. We're going to actually just having this inside the body, and we're going to be using cotton yarn to do all the sewing that we need to do. Okay, make sure you make 2 of these for the hind fins, and now we will get started on the head. Alright, so now we're going to start the head, and we're also going to be using this beige yarn here. As you can see with the head, it's beige colored. Okay, so let's start off as per normal with our 6 single crochet stitches inside a magic ring. So here's my magic ring just there. And now we're going to make these 6 single crochet stitches inside it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finally 6. There we go. So we're going to put, oh, see how you can see it gets very delicate here, so you just got to be very careful. Lucky that happened, so you can see, you know, like that's kind of the stuff that happens. You just have to be careful. Okay, so there we go. We've pulled it, and if that happens more than twice for you, I would recommend using some cotton yarn. Try to match the color. So like, for example, I'd use maybe this beige color over here to match the color, and then have it make that magic circle with my velvet yarn, and then weave it in from that point. And then cut it, because I won't need it anymore after this magic ring. Okay, so after that, again, we're going to complete each round with a slip stitch and chain 1. So we're not crocheting in a spiral at this point. As you can see, we've made these slip stitches down here. They're not obvious, so we're just going to keep them in there. Alright, so here we go. We're going to, in the second round, make increases again until we have a total of, you guessed it, 12 single crochet stitches in the round. So we're just going to complete that there and come back after round 2. Round 2 now complete. Here's my slip stitch and chain 1. Now for round 3, again, it's just a single crochet stitch and an increase. You guys are getting the hang of it now, I am sure. So single crochet and then increase all the way around, and you'll have a total of 18 stitches in the round after this round. Round 3 now complete, so let's slip stitch this and chain 1. There we go. Now for round 4, this is the next and last increase round. So we've got 1, 2 single crochet stitches and then an increase. So 1 and second single crochet stitch in that same space. Let's do it again. So single crochet stitch number 1, number 2, and then of course our increase next. Okay, so once you repeat that a total of 6 times, you will have 24 stitches in the round. And there we go. So I've already completed that slip stitch and chain 1 after round 4, or to finish round 4. Now from rounds 5 to 8, so that's a total of 4 rounds, we're going to be making our single crochet stitch in every stitch. So that's a total of 24 for each round, and you're going to repeat that 4 times. And don't forget to finish each round with that slip stitch and chain 1. So let's come back then after we have finished round number 8, and we can start the decrease rounds together. Round 8 is now complete. As you can see, we're starting to make the head shape. So now what we're going to do is start decreasing. So to begin our decreasing, we're going to make 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, and then here's the decrease. Now this is called an invisible decrease. If you really struggle with this, you can do another decrease that I'll show you, but this is the one that I kind of want you to do, or really want you to do actually. So what you're going to be doing is have your hook come in the front loop here, and then the very front loop of the adjacent stitch. So your hook is now in 2 of those front loops. You're going to pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. That is called an invisible decrease, if you didn't know. Now the other type of decrease, I'll just quickly show you here. It's where you come inside both the front and back loops, you pull up a loop, and then you go into directly the next stitch and pull up another loop, so that you have 3 loops on the hook, and then you pull through all 3 loops like that. And that's called a single crochet 2 together, or just a decrease as well. Sometimes in patterns they don't specify what type of decrease it is, but for me, most of my decreases, if not all, are the invisible decrease. And if it is not, like for example, if you're working in the back loop and trying to do a decrease, I will usually do a single crochet 2 together in a back loop to make that decrease, because it's almost impossible to go in the front loop to do that. Anyways, I'm going to take all of that out. All you should have done is single, single, invisible decrease, and we're just going to repeat that 6 times. So single, single, and then invisible decrease, front loop, pull through, and pull through, and we're going to repeat that 6 times. So I'll show you one more time. Single, single, here's the invisible decrease, front loop again, pull through 2 front loops, and pull through. Okay, so you've got another 3 of these to go, then make the slip stitch and chain 1 to finish off round number 9. All right, here we go. So we've just finished round 9, and you've just finished your first decrease round. Well done to anyone who's never done a decrease before, and for those of you who have, well done for doing it with this type of yarn, because it's not easy at the first time you ever do this. Okay, we've got another decrease round. We've actually got 2 more decrease rounds to go. So here's the first, second last, or penultimate round, as they say. Single crochet, and here is decrease, invisible decrease, to specify exactly what that is. Single crochet stitch, and then invisible decrease. That's number 2. One more time, single crochet and invisible decrease, number 3 right there. Repeat that another 3 times, slip stitch, chain 1 to finish round 10. Round 10 is done, and I've just pulled this through a little bit more, because what we're going to do here is add our eyes and then also some fiber filling to really fill this up. So let's add our safety eyes now. We're going to need our 9mm safety eyes, and we should have, this is 7, so I don't need this, it's a bit too small, but we will need 9. So here's 9mm safety eyes, and then of course don't forget the backs, otherwise those eyes will just pop out. Okay, now we're going to try and have this towards the bottom, okay, and we're going to count our stitches, or our rounds, from the center of the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in between rounds 6 and 7, which is along here, we're going to add our eyes, and we're going to try and add them towards the side. So here's the middle there, so I might add my first one around here, and this will be towards the side of my turtle, if that's the middle spot. So I'm just going to add this here. I'm not going to say that this is exactly where we put it, but it's just to kind of have that reference. Okay, and then let's see if I count 1, here's another stitch space, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see what it looks like if I put it right there, and I think, you know, that actually looks really good. So there seems to be 10 stitch spaces between them, and if you don't like that for yourself, feel free to change it. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as what I'm doing here. I'm just giving you kind of like a reference call. Okay, and so that's how our turtle will look as it's connected to our strawberry body. Okay, and what we're going to do now is add some fiber filling, and this is the part where you really want to fill this up as best as you can. Make it very sturdy, but don't push in too much fiber filling either, because you don't want it to burst out the seams, but make sure it's sturdy, and we'll come back once we've done all of that. So I'm just adding in fiber filling. I might even use a pair of scissors to kind of weave it, to push it in there and condense it all, and keep doing that until you filled it up quite nicely. Okay, so I've really compacted this fiber filling inside, and I'm holding even my finger there so it doesn't pop out. Now what I'm going to do is pull this a little bit, have my yarn needle go back in. I've got it coming in from this direction as well, because that's usually the direction that it goes. This is already chained 1 from that round, and now for this last round, this is the final round. It's all decreases, so we are going to make a total of 6 decreases for this round. So what I'm trying to do here is find that front loop of the very first stitch. So, and it does get a little bit slippery as well with velvet yarn, so I'll just try to find that right now. And there we go. So I've got it through the 2 front loops there. I'm going to pull through, sometimes just being off camera to try and find it is helpful. And we've just made our first invisible decrease. Here's the second one, and then here's the third. Front loops only, remember that, guys. And don't come in here because that's part of that decrease stitch. You come over here. So here's the fourth. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to see it, but just making sure you only have a total of 6 invisible decreases in that round. And here's our number 6 invisible decrease. And then remember, of course, we finish with popping our hook into that very first stitch and then making a slip stitch. And we pull the yarn through because we're going to cut this now. And we'll give ourselves maybe about 10 centimeters or 12 centimeters worth, because we are going to weave the head. Actually, no, we don't even need to weave the head at this point. You can just shove in the yarn tail into this section to hide it. You could close it off, but really there's no need because we'll be weaving around this anyway towards the body. So no need to close that if you don't want to close that. Okay, there we go. So that is the head finished right there. Remember, the eyes that are closest to the roof is where the head is going to go. So you don't want it to go like that. Just making sure that you guys know that the eyes have to be closest to the head, or to the ceiling, if you will. Okay, there we go. So that is the turtle head, nice and done. Alright, so now we may as well do the tail first before we start the body. So let's begin the tail. The tail is going to be a little bit different. It's not our 6 in a magic ring as we are used to so far. It's actually going to be 4. So this might be a little bit tricky for you guys, but shouldn't be too tricky. Let's see it here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 single crochet stitches. Now again, we're going to pull this yarn tail, give it a little bit of an angle so it's pulling from the right direction all the way. Pull, pull, pull until it's nice and closed. And once it's closed, all you're going to do is make a slip stitch as normal as we've been doing into the very first stitch. And after that slip stitch, we'll chain 1. There we go. That's your 4 single crochet stitches in a magic ring. Well done, guys. Okay, so from here it should get a little bit easier now because we're going to make an increase in every single one of those stitches, which means we will have a total of 8 stitches at the end of round 2. So there's our second increase. Here's our third increase. And finally, here is our 4th increase, just like that. And then we're going to come here to the first stitch and make a slip stitch and chain 1. There we go. Okay, so for round number 3, we're going to increase again until we get to 12. So single crochet stitch first, and then an increase, 1 and 2. There we go. Let's do it again and repeat this a total of 4 times. So here's the increase after the single crochet stitch. There we go. One more time. 1 single crochet stitch and increase. And I meant one more time now because we need to do 4 of these. So single crochet and increase. Now if I did go too fast, you guys just don't forget to pause that video. Okay, slip stitch and chain 1. Now for the next 3 rounds, super simple. It's just going to be single crochet stitches all the way around. So you'll have 12 stitches for 3 rounds. And there we go. So we just finished that round there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds in total. And now we don't need to cut too much of this yarn because we'll be using cotton yarn to weave it and sew it to the body. So I'm going to just grab this tail, put it inside. We're going to fill this as well with some fiber filling, but we'll do that a little bit later when it comes to the sewing. Okay, so that's the tail, the head, and the fins all done. Now we are ready to start on the body. Alright, so to start the body, we're going to jump back to our red yarn to make that strawberry color. Okay, and we're going to start, as you know it, making a magic ring, as with almost every amigurumi project. And we're going to crochet a total of 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. There we go. So once we've done those 6, we're going to pull the yarn tail now. You should be quite good at pulling that yarn tail without snapping. And then we're just going to make a single crochet stitch, a slip stitch and chain 1 to finish that round. There we go. Now for rounds 2, we're just going to make 6 single crochet stitches again inside this magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. There we go. And we'll just finish that with a slip stitch and chain 1, and that is round 2 right there. So let's see what this looks like. There we go. That's looking great. So from this point, we just do want a little bit of a tip like that. And now from here, we're going to make increases in each round. So here, let's start. Here's our first increase, 1, 2, and I mean in each stitch. Here's the second increase, 1 and 2. And you're going to just continue that all the way around until you've got 12 single crochet stitches in that round. Round 3 is now complete with our 12 stitches in the round. Now round 4 is very simple. We're just increasing now. So single crochet stitch and increase. And you want to repeat this a total of 6 times until you have 18 stitches in the round. So single and then 1 and then 1, 2. So that's the increase there. So repeat that 6 times in total and slip stitch and chain 1 to finish the round. Round number 5 now is just 2 single crochet stitches, 1, 2, and then an increase, 1 and the second single crochet stitch there to make the increase. Repeat 6 times in total and finish round number 5. And that completes round number 5 there. Now for round number 6, again another increase round. So we've got 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3, and then our increase, 1 and 2. And you're going to repeat that again a total of 6 times for 30 stitches in the round for round number 6. And round number 6 is now done. Now for round number 7, we're going to make 4 single crochet stitches, 2, 3, and number 4, and then we will have our increase after that. So 1 and 2. There we go. And just repeat that all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 single crochet stitches with an increase next. There you go. So repeat that all the way around, finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. Alright, so for round number 8 now, we're going to make 5 single crochet stitches. You can see a pattern happening here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, followed by, of course, you guessed it, the increase, 1 and 2 right there. And repeat that a total of 6 times. Finish with a slip stitch and chain 1 to finish this round. Okay, so that's all done. That's finishing round number 8. Now for round number 9, this is where it's a little bit different this time. We're only going to be working in the front loops. Let me see if I can show you a front loop right here. So remember, for each stitch you got a front and back loop. So we're just going to be working in the front loops because we'll need those back loops for something else a little later. So if I get my hook into the front loop only, and we're going to be doing that all the way around for this round, and we are still making an increase after 6 single crochet stitches. So there's 1, 2, and make sure you get into every front loop and you don't miss a stitch. Number 3, 4, 5, and 6 single crochet stitches, followed by front loop increase, 1 and 2. Okay, so there we go. As you can see, that's the pattern. You repeat that a total of 6 times, slip stitch and chain 1 to finish round number 9. And there we go. So round number 9 is now complete. So we've worked our stitches all into those front loops, leaving the back loops behind, as you can see here, and we're going to use these a bit later. Now before we finish, we have one more round to go. So we just need a chain 1. I've already finished the slip stitch. That's my chain 1 right there. And now for round 10, this is the last round for the tortoise kind of shell, and we're going to just be doing the same thing and increase around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 single crochet stitches followed by an increase, and that's what you'll do all the way around. So just have fun with that, slip stitch, and we will fasten off, and I'll show you how to do that. And here we are. So again, you don't need to cut off that much yarn to finish this off. We're just going to pull this through, and the reason is because we're actually going to weave this yarn tail into the back portion to hide it anyway once we're finished. So there we go. There's the front part of our turtle body to make that strawberry. Now later on we're going to make that little stalk part in the green and sew it on, but we'll do that way later. So now we're going to be working on these back loops all the way around with beige colored yarn, and I'll let you know how to do that now. So from here we're actually going to be working with, let's have a look, beige colored yarn. So this will make the belly of our turtle. So here's our beige velvet colored yarn here, and as you can see, this is where we finished off, right? This is where we finished off. So I'm not going to start here. Instead, I'm going to go completely opposite that, turn my piece around, and just put in my hook into one of those front loops. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want the head on this side so we don't have the slip stitches at any point visible. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to attach my beige colored yarn, and there's multiple ways that you can attach this, but this is what I do. I just yarn over, pull it through, chain 1, and that's how I attach it. And now when I'm beginning the round, this is where I'll start straight back in this section right here. So what we're going to do is make a total of 1 single crochet stitch in every back loop all the way around, and there should be a total of 42. So this here is number 1 for me. I'm going to pull this yarn tail and I'm going to weave it in as I go, so it should be on top of my hook, and I'll probably do that for the next 5 to 6 stitches as well as I work my way all the way across. So that's number 2. Here again, back loop, sorry, number 3. Here is weaving in the yarn, and number 4 single crochet stitch, number 5 single crochet stitch. And sometimes you do have to take a look a little bit just to see it. Sometimes velvet yarn is hard to see. And there we go. So I'll probably leave it here. I don't need to weave this in anymore, and I'm going to continue all the way around until I reach my 42nd single crochet stitch, and you've got to make sure that there's 42. Okay, then there should be 42 if you've done this red part properly. Okay, so I'll let you continue with that all the way around, and then we'll come back here and do the slip stitch and chain 1 together. Okay, so we've just finished and made our slip stitch, and now we're just gonna chain 1 to finish off that round right there. So we have done the slip stitch and chain 1, and we are ready now to start the next round. Now this next round we need to pay attention to it, I guess. So we're going to make 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, and we can't miss any, 3 single crochet stitches, and here is the 4th. So once you've done 4 single crochet stitches like this, 1, 2, 3, and number 4, we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to skip 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, skip, come in here, and this will be 1 single crochet stitch. So that's 1 single crochet stitch, and we want 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Done. Okay, so we are going to now chain 2, 1 and 2, and skip 2. So 1 and 2, and come in here and make our first single crochet stitch for the next part, and we're going to make a total of 10. So this is number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Chain 2, 1 and 2, skip 2, 1 and 2. Here's the first single crochet stitch, and we've got another total of 7 there, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and you should have 4 left over. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Come into the very first stitch space, finish with a slip stitch, and we have just finished probably the most difficult part. So make sure you get all those numbers right. You start off with 42, and then just as I explained, this is how you make all of these little indentations here. And this will be the front. Our head will pop here, and this will be the hind legs over here. Okay. So from here, we are going to, let's see. Okay. So in this next round, we actually have one more hurdle to overcome, and we need to listen to the instructions extremely carefully because this is actually going to be a decrease round, and it's going to be hard a little bit to make the decreases inside this. So we need to remember how many loops we had, or chains we had for each of these. This was 3, this was 2, this was 2, and then this was 3 again. So we need to remember that because when we're making those decreases, we need to know what loops we're going into. So this round is just going to be, and it sounds easy, but because of these chain spaces, it can become a little bit difficult. So this is probably the most difficult portion of this total. If you get through this, you can literally do anything in crochet, especially with amigurumi. Okay, so this round is going to be 5 single crochet stitches followed by a decrease. Sounds easy, right? We repeat that 6 times, but remember we had 4 here. Okay, I'm going to take you through this. So we've got 1 single crochet stitch, 2 single crochet stitches, 3 single crochet stitches, and 4 single crochet stitches. Now in one of these loops, remember we had 3, we need to do a single crochet stitch, and I'm just going to do it by putting my hook here. It's probably the easiest thing, inside the space and making a single crochet stitch. But with the other 2, what I'm going to do is have my hook go through the first loop and pull up 1, and this is where we're not making an invisible decrease because it's just too difficult. And then I'm going to put my hook in that second chain space. Where are you? And probably not there. Hold on, I've got to make sure I find them properly. 1. As you can see, it can be a little bit tricky. Just got to make sure you got those spaces looked out for. So I'm just going to pull this back a little bit so I can see where my loops are. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm coming here. Remember, that's my 5th single crochet. I just repeated it. Then loop, pull up 1. Here's the second loop to finish off those 3 loops. Pull. Oh. Here is, I just want to make sure I'm not getting in the same loop. Pull up. There we go. And pull the yarn through all 3 loops on the hook. There we go. Let's repeat. Remember, we had a total of 7 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this should be fairly simple this time. We don't have to do the same type of decrease. We can do an invisible decrease here. Front loop, pull through, pull through. Now we're up to this chain space, of which we had 2. So we can easily just make 2 single crochet stitches here. 1, 2. We're finished that now. Come into here, and remember we had 10. So this is number 3, 4, 5, followed by invisible decrease. We've got another 5 left over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And of course, this is the tricky part here. We got 2 loops and it has to be a decrease. So coming into the first loop, pulling up a loop, coming into the second, pulling up a loop, and pulling through, all to make that decrease. It's a single crochet 2 together in the loop. Now we'll come here. We've got another 7 here. So this should be fairly simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet stitches, and just with the last 2 we'll make the invisible decrease right there. And here we have 3. 1, 2, 3 inside that space. Just make sure I get in the stitch space here. 4, 5, and of course we finish on an invisible decrease, which is fantastic because that's exactly what we want. Okay, and then we're just going to make a slip stitch and chain 1, and look at that, guys. You have completed the hardest part of your turtle. Now everything else is pretty straightforward from here. This time we're doing 4 single crochet stitches and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and make those invisible decreases as well. So here is the first invisible decrease. There we go. And just repeat that a total of 6 times, and then slip stitch and chain 1 to finish. So we've just finished 4 single crochet stitches and the decrease all the way around, repeated 6 times. Now I'm just going to pull the yarn a little bit at this point. And this is the part where we need to sew, and we are going to be using some red 4-ply cotton yarn to do the sewing as well. So here's our slip stitch, and this is exactly where our head is going to end up. So it's going to be right in this position, just like that. And we need our front flippers first. So here's our first front flipper, here's our second one, and I'm going to show you the orientation of how to put this. So these are the chain 3 spaces. As here, head goes here. This is where our slip stitch is right now. So what we're going to do is have our fins facing such that the side we did the single crochet stitch, so you folded this and then you made single crochet stitches along this, so you want this pointing towards the back end, and then this part towards the front end every single time. So we're going to put this now through our first stitch space here, which is our chain 3 space. I'm going to put it all the way through and grab that yarn tail too and work it through, and you want to have about maybe this much go through. So that's 1. And then here's the second one. You're going to have to flip this around just like that, so that this side is on the back and the tail is towards the part where you put it inside. So there we go. We're going to put this inside, bring the tail through as well. There we go. And there are the front flippers all nice and done, except we need to sew them, of course, and we'll do that very soon. The head is going to pop itself right here, which is exactly what we want, but we'll sew that on a bit later. And now for the hind flippers, it's just going to look like essentially that. So let's pop them in now too. So these are the chain 2 spaces at the back, by the way, just in case you forgot about that. So we're going to pop these into, and this shouldn't be too difficult. It just takes a little bit of maneuvering and pulling and pushing until it's the right position that you want. So we're going to pull this through, and you're going to get about the same amount through as well, maybe that much. That's a reasonable amount. And finally the last one coming here, had it the same orientation, pulling in that yarn tail as well. Always want to get that yarn tail in because it's going to be in the body. We don't need it, so we can hide it away inside the body. Oops, we dropped this one, and that's okay. We might have to do some sewing first anyway, but I just want to show you the orientation of this turtle. So it's going to look like this with the head right here and the tail at the back. So now we're going to get into the sewing part of it. So what I'll do here is grab a very small needle, just like I said before, a smaller needle for the 4-ply cotton yarn. This is my cotton yarn right here, and I'm going to weave this into the eye of the needle, and I'm going to be using this to sew the fins into the back portion of the body. So what we might do is we'll have a look over here first. I'm just going to start kind of anywhere. I just want to target one of the fins, and I'm going to have this come through the back portion of these stitches into the stitch spaces. You don't want it appearing on this side, so you just have to be very careful how you work this here, but it's usually how you weave in yarn anyway if you've ever done that before. And I'm going to pull up all of this yarn until I reach about maybe that much and leave this out so that I don't get confused and it doesn't pull out later. Now I'm going to pull this here until it's about the right amount that I want, and then I'm going to come a little bit over here, weave in through this space here, just like that. And now I'm going to directly come through the red stitches of my fin. So I've pulled it in as much as I want, and I'm going to now weave through this one, just like that. And now I'm going to come back down. It doesn't really matter where you're going, you just want to work yourself along those stitches. And now that I'm back here, I'm going to work through maybe this next beige stitch over here, and it's always on the inside of the body so that you don't see it on the outside. So you just want to be very careful with that. And now I'm going to work my needle all the way to the top here, and I'm going to keep doing that all the way along until I finish sewing that first flipper. This is a great little technique to know as well. So I'm pulling it all the way here, back and forth, and I'm not getting any yarn tangled either. I'm going in through this stitch on the side, and I always go through the side stitches of the beige just so that it's secured, nicely secured all the way around. So we are definitely getting used to this now. So I'm going to pull this here, come down here through my red, pull, 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 and weave here, come through this last spot of my red, because I want to make sure that there's no spaces left behind, and come through weaving over here. And look at that, we have just sewed our very first fin. Nice and simple. Now you can continue that pattern all the way across. So all that I'm going to do though, just to show you how I get from here to here, is I'm just going to weave in that needle just how I would if I was to weave it in. Remember, only those back stitches as well. So it's that stitch space that you're working in just to get all the way across. And I'll show you, whoops, I knocked the camera there. You won't see it on this side, which is perfect. That's exactly what you want. Now I'm going to pull it until I've got this much through, and we're just going to start that whole process again. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. And that is how you do the sewing. So I'll let you guys do that now. Pause the video, do that sewing. You've seen the technique, so we're all ready to go. Try and get those yarn tails away as much as possible, and continue on until you've finished all 4 flippers, and then we'll come back together to see that end result. Okay, so I've just finished sewing all of those fins, and I've worked my way all the way back to the beginning, and I'm just going to tie this together, not too tightly as well, because you don't want to squish everything, but that second knot, definitely tighten it up a little bit more. On that second knot, you can always do that. So it's a double knot. The first one, don't pull too tight, but the second one, you can pull a lot tighter. Okay, we're going to shove all of these yarn tails now back into the body, just to get rid of them, because we don't want them. And our tortoise is going to look like this. So this is what we got so far. This is looking great. All right, so we need to finish off this back end now. So we finished the 5 single crochet decrease, we finished the 4 single crochet decrease, and now we are going to begin the 3 single crochet decrease. Okay, so grabbing back our 4mm hook as we have right here, I'm going to work my hook into the yarn just like this, pulling out that loop. Very straightforward from here. It's just 1, 2, 3 single crochet stitches, and finish off with an invisible decrease, just like that. And you're going to repeat that 6 times to finish that. 1, 2, 3, and invisible decrease right here. There you go. Okay, so repeat that all the way around, and then and there we go. Okay, so now we've got that round done. So the next round is just going to be 2 single crochet stitches followed by an invisible decrease. So you're seeing the pattern again. We're just doing those decreases 1 round at a time until we get to the end. So this is the 2 single crochet stitch decrease at this point. So 1, 2, and 1 front loop, and invisible decrease there. Repeat all the way around. Okay, so we've just finished that round there, and now this is the point where you can start filling up the body of your turtle with some fiber filling. So let's do that now. So remember, we've put all those yarn tails in there except for this one, which comes from this part here, because that won't fit inside. I've pulled this a little bit further across, and you're going to push in that fiber filling. Fill up the top here for your top of your strawberry, and just work the fiber filling all the way around until you fill it up. And then we'll continue on. We've got another 2 rounds to go before we completely finish here. And as you can see, I've really filled this up and tried to condense it. I'll probably add in a little bit more after this round, but for now this is overflowing, so I can't really do much more. Alright, so what I'm going to do is for this round, and you probably already guessed that, it's a single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease. So make that invisible decrease, and just repeat that a total of 6 times all the way around, and then we'll have 1 more round left to go for the body. And I'm just going to fill this up a tiny bit more before I finish my last round, just to make sure I have added enough stuffing to my turtle. And then we'll finish that last round, and then we're done with the body, which is fantastic. And then it's a little bit of sewing left to do, 1 extra thing to do with cotton yarn, but super easy. And then yeah, we'll have our turtle all done, and then add the finishing touches. Okay, so here we go. We've just added a little bit more fiber filling inside, and now all this last round is it's just going to be, let's see here, let's see if I can get into this first front loop. It's always tricky doing the very first front loop for some reason. I don't know if you recall, last time I had to go off camera just to get into it, and I might have to do the same here as well. Oh no, there we go. So front loop again, pull through and pull through. So there we go. Now I'm going to repeat that 6 times. The rest of them should be super easy. Pull through, and we're going to again repeat that a total of 6 times, and then we'll come back, slip stitch, chain, or not even chain, we'll just fasten off at that point. Okay, so I just fastened this off and cut a little bit left here. So now all I'm going to do is grab my needle just like this, and make sure it's the big one so that you can fit this inside. You can already see it's kind of peeling, so you have to be really delicate here, and just weave that through. Again, being super delicate. I've already kind of it almost looks like a bird with their feathers getting ripped out. Okay, so there we go. That's why you have to make sure the eye of the needle is a little bit thicker or bigger. So we're going to work our needle through the front loops of each of the remaining stitches. So if you see here, we're just working our needle through the front loops only. Again, repeating just the front loops, because this is how you finish your project, and just be very gentle as you do this as well. You don't want to rip that yarn, especially with what you have left. It's not the end of the world though, like you could just get a little bit more yarn or some cotton yarn to close this off if you needed to. No problem at all. Okay, so we're going to pull that there, but not too tight, just until it closes, and pull very gently too. And then you're going to insert the needle right into the center of that, and come out anywhere where there's some beige yarn, and just pull it a little bit, but not too tight again. And then we're just going to weave this yarn tail in and out of a few of these stitches, and again, not pulling too tightly, and just following the line. So for example, this is going kind of down that way, so I'm just following that direction. That way it doesn't look out of place, and it just kind of flows nice and neatly. It's almost like you don't even know you've been weaving. It's always difficult to get the yarn off your needle, because that happens. And then we'll just push this back in, and this will finish it off. There we go. There's our beautiful turtle body. Front legs, back legs, and we have to weave this in now as well with the back side of the body right there. So now we can do a few extra little finer details. So maybe the first thing we can do is add the strawberry seeds to each fin and also to the body. This will take a little bit of time, so bear with me here, and put aside like an hour to do this. It probably wouldn't take about an hour, maybe 30 to 40 minutes, but still, if this is your first time, you want to do this nice and meticulously. So let us start that part right now, and I might just weave this in as well. And to weave it in, all I'm going to do with my big yarn needle is go through the backs of some of these stitches, maybe 4, 5, or 6, probably 5 is a good number. Grab your yarn tail, weave it through the eye of the needle. Be very gentle, always very gentle with this yarn. Pull it through until we've closed it off, just like that. Don't pull too tightly either. And then right at the tip here, you can pull it just a little bit more and cut it off. And that is hidden there, nice and neatly there. Okay, so that's that. So now let's add our strawberry seeds. And here we've come to the seed portion of our strawberry turtle. So of course strawberries need seeds, right? And we're going to do this in white. So I'm just going to find any point and then work my needle up to the top. And by the way, I'm using 4-ply cotton yarn here and white cotton yarn. So I've cut myself a good maybe 2 meters worth. Maybe just shy of 2 meters, 1.5 meters, let's say. I'll leave this much at the back. And I'm just going to work my way basically all the way around with these straight stitches, 1 stitch space apart. And that's going to be it. So I'll show you how to do the first couple and just give you a few tips along the way just to make this a seamless process. So I like how people would use that term, seamless process. Anyways, we're going to pull this, but we're not going to pull too tight, because if you pull it too tight, I'll hold this here so you can see it, you won't see it, as you can see. So make sure you're not pulling the yarn too tight all the way across as you're doing this. So you want to make sure of that. So come across here, we've got the next one. I'm going to pull that, boom. And don't pull it any more than that. You want to make it visible. So I'm going to come down here for the next one. I'm just going to work my way all the way around and kind of just work in a spiral until I get to the end. And then we'll start working on the flippers. Okay, and as you can see, we've just finished the top portion. So now what we're going to do is directly go into each of the fins, and we've got to be careful how we do this as well, because we don't want any of this white being visible around here. So I'm going to just work my 1 stitch space away here, but go directly into the body and find my way until I find the fin, just like this. So you can see I won't have any of the white come through the body section where I can visibly see it pulling through. And I'm just going to, in the same way, not work through this back section but only the front section, work my way down in a couple of the stitch spaces. So I'll show you just a few, and then you can complete the rest of this working and weaving that yarn tail all the way back and forth until you've completed each one of these fins. So once you finish this, you have to come back into the body, work your way into this one. Sometimes if your needle's a bit too small, you'll come up first over here and then go back in that same stitch to hide it away. So you want to complete this all the way across until you have finished. And make sure, if you don't have enough yarn, come out to this section here where that first yarn tail was, tied together, hide it, and start with a new piece of yarn, always tying your 2 yarn ends at the same section so you can hide it away. Alright, I'll see you once we have finished all of our strawberry seeds. And there we go. So I've just finished all of those seeds on each of the fins, and now I've woven my yarn tails in the same spot, and I'm just going to tie it in a double knot. So here's one, and here is the second, a little bit tighter on that second one, and then cut the yarn here and push in that knot inside the body. And there we go. So we have just finished our strawberry turtle body. We still need the stalk part to do, but we've finished most of this. We are almost done. Okay, so we have finished the strawberry seeds and we're now on to sewing the head. So for the head, remember, here's the front two fins, and we're going to have the head with the eyes facing upwards, so not this way because the eyes would face downwards, so facing upwards, and we want this connected right in the center there, and just squeeze that in just like that. And now when it comes to sewing, I'm going to hold my finger on this, making sure the eyes are in place and everything's just nicely in place. I'm going to grab some 4-ply cotton yarn. This is in beige, so it kind of matches this color as well, and this will just make it a lot more secure. I'm going to come inside here and work my way all the way to where I believe it's kind of lined up to where I'm going to start sewing the head to the body. So I'm going to pull this in here, pull it up until I have about this much left. Now I'm going to make sure the eyes are in the right spot. And then from here, we're going to work our way through this space. Okay, so through each stitch space, just like that. We're going to work like that. So if I come through here, the first one, don't pull it too tight on that first one. And then I'm going to come back over here. You can see there's the stitch yarn coming through there. And I'm going to come directly into the next space. And I'm kind of going to be working underneath the head so that you can't see this yarn tail. So I'm going to be doing that all the way across. So we started here. I'm going to work my way to the next one. Then I'm going to continue working underneath my turtle. So this is a very important part here. So again, I might even just go through the same spot here just because I couldn't find anything different. And then work my way through the next stitch, just like that. And then I'm going to continue all the way around. And there we go. Our head is securely attached with cotton yarn. It's perfect. Okay, so that is the head. Now let's do the exact same thing for the tail. But remember, for the tail, we also need to add some fiber filling inside. Let's do that now. And there you are. Okay, so there's the turtle. As you can see, we have tightly secured with cotton yarn the tail and the head to the body, which is perfect. Okay, so let us now begin making this little leaf and stalk section, and then we'll finish off the finer details on the eyes, and then we are done. All right, let's do the stalk. Okay, so we need some green 4-ply cotton yarn, and I'm also going to be using a 1.9mm hook, but feel free to use a 2mm hook as well, just whatever you have there. Okay, so what we're going to do is just make a magic ring, and we will make 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. Super simple. So here's number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Nice. You're going to pull this yarn tail, and you're going to make a slip stitch into the very first stitch to finish off that round. Slip stitch and chain 1. All right, in the second round, we're just going to make 6 single crochet stitches as well. So 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch space all the way around. So that's 4, 5, and finally number 6. Now what you will notice is it starts to turn inside out, so let's put it the right way around. And then we'll finish this off with its normal slip stitch and chain 1. I just want to do that slip stitch again because I missed some of the 4-ply cotton yarn. Okay, so from here we'll do another round of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure I get in both loops there. 5 and 6. Okay, and then slip stitch. And then from here, we're not going to chain 1, we're actually going to chain a little bit more. We're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now from here, in the very second loop from the hook, we're going to work a slip stitch. Then we'll work a single crochet stitch, another single crochet stitch, then a half double crochet stitch, and 1 last half double crochet stitch right there. And then we're going to go into the next stitch and make a slip stitch to finish that off. And we're going to repeat that a total of 6 times. So we'll have 6 of these all the way across. So I'll let you guys do that now, and then we'll come back together. There we go, we've got our 6 little leaves here, and to finish off this last one, we're just going to make the slip stitch in the very first single crochet space to finish that off. And we're going to leave a little bit of a yarn tail, so maybe around 20 centimeters or so worth, just about that much. There we go. We can put in this yarn tail into our little stalky section to hide it, and that will also give it a little bit of stuffing, just for that firmness there. If you feel like you need to add some fiber filling, feel free to absolutely do that. And now we're going to grab our needle, our smaller needle this time for our 4-ply cotton yarn. I actually love having little details with 4-ply cotton yarn as opposed to the velvet yarn. It just makes things pop a little bit more. Okay, so at this point, we're going to stick it right to the top of this. And we're not going to stick it straight away from the center. We're going to start sewing the leaves first. So from this point here, we're going to go backwards and down. And then maybe I'll come up just in one spot so we can fully secure that center. So take back what I said. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to start with the leaves. So I'm just going to pull one leaf down at a time. Come in here, weave here, and then I'm just going to weave out and have my yarn needle enter the same spot. Then I'm going to go to the very next one. So maybe over here. Then I'm going to weave in, and I don't usually go to the tip because I like to have a little bit of a point, if you can see, where it just flips up a little bit. I feel like that's more the style of a strawberry. At least that's what I feel. But feel free to change it if you feel like your leaves need to look a little different. No problem at all. We are all doing this together. Okay, so coming in here, I'm just going to work through each. Whoops, I caught a little bit of the tip of that one, which is not great. I feel like I can't get rid of it either. Whoopsie, so maybe for this one I will have to come down a little more. So come over here. Maybe I can't really do anything about that unless I chop the yarn tail, but I'm not going to do that. So I'll just pull it like that. That's fine. It's only for one anyway, so it's not a big deal. Okay, and coming in here, I'm going to work my needle back in that same spot. And then finally over here, we've got 2 more to go. 1. Same spot, and come to finish it with our last 6th leaf. Come over here, pull the yarn through, come to the other side, needle in the same spot, and then I'm going to work my yarn back to that center point around the center so I can just more fully secure that center part. So we've got the top of it. Now let's just secure that center portion. So I'm just going to weave my yarn through the body and then back out in a few of these stitch spaces. So I really have to angle that needle a little bit different, and sometimes a smaller needle really helps with that. So that's just a tip there for you. Maybe one more time to fully secure that in place. And that to me looks amazing. So I'm just going to work this now out, because I don't need this anymore. This is the only time where we actually don't have 2 separate yarn tails. So after this, we're just going to cut this. It's been woven around this section so many times that it is very secure in place. It's not going to come undone, so don't be worried about that. Okay, so now we have finished the stem and stalk with the leaves, the strawberry section, the fins, the back, the sewing. Everything is good to go. We just need to finish off these eyes and give it a little bit of plush, and then we are good. So we're using white 4-ply cotton yarn and a very tiny and sharp needle here. This is because we need to work our way through the eyes. We're going to give it a little bit of those highlights. So coming here, weaving my needle up into about, let's see, I've got to be careful here, so I might go here first. I'm not going to do anything with that. It just makes it easier for me to work my way right here close to the eye, as you can see about there. And we're going to put a little bit of highlight. Actually, I don't like that spot. We should probably work a little bit higher, maybe about here. Yes, this is way better. Okay, so we're coming here. This is like the top of the eye. We're going to work our way all around the side until we reach like a half moon space down here. So I'm going to have my needle work through here, and then it's going to come out around this portion here, because you'll see what I'm doing. This will help me secure it in place. I'm going to have my yarn needle come under, pull it through. Not too tightly. You never want to do this too tight because you want that yarn to reveal itself, if you will. And as I pull this, you'll see, just give it a little bit of help to do this. And there we go. So that's the white lining of one eye. Now let's do the exact same for the second. So coming again around that same angle, about here. And we're going to work our way all around the outside till we reach kind of like the 3/4 mark. And then we'll have our yarn needle work itself back up that top section. We could have even gone a little bit further, but it is okay. When I say a little bit further, I mean like around here, but that's all right. And now just weave your yarn in. Don't pull it too tightly either. Remember, you want to see that yarn. So that's exactly what we've got there. We're seeing that highlight right there, which is perfect. Now I'm just going to weave these two yarn tails back together. I'm going to tie these together. The first knot is going to be quite loose, but the second one is going to be tight. There we go. If you feel like doing a third one, feel free to do that as well. As long as you can fit it back inside the body, which you should be able to. No troubles at all. We're just going to push that back inside. There we go. All right, now we need a little bit of blush on the sides, and you can even add a smiley mouth if you feel like it. Depends how you feel. We might even do that in black, but we'll see. Okay, this last section here is just the pink blush. So I've got my pink 4-ply cotton yarn again. We're just going to weave our yarn tail here. I'm going to pop out around about here. So it's just kind of directly underneath the eye. And then we're going to go across 2 stitch spaces. You can even do 3. Depends on how you feel. And then we're going to weave this through these stitch spaces. And again, don't pull too tightly. A good 2 to 3 times. So that's my second time right there. And let's see what it looks like for a third time. Oh, that looks brilliant. So I think 3 is just enough. So I'm not going to even, well, you could do 4 if you want. Let's just do that. 3 to 4, let's say. How about that? Now we've got this about 1 stitch space under the eye. So let's do that for this one over here. That might be a little bit too close to the eye, so I might change that. But let's get the needle out first so we don't have any trouble with that. Finishing off that beautiful blush right there. That's perfect. And yeah, this one's too close to the eye, so I'm going to come down 1 stitch space. Just like that. And then we're going to work this blush as well. So across 2 stitch spaces. Once, come over here. 2. Now before I said 3, but I'm thinking 4 is probably just gives it that extra pop, extra thickness for the extra pop. So 3, and finally number 4. And then we're just going to work our needle back to where we began. There we go. It's a great blush. So I want my needle to come out at this section, and just be careful to weave so that that yarn disappears and you don't get any trail left behind. So I'm pulling this. It should go directly in. Perfect. And then we're just gonna again tie this together. The first one not too tight, but the second knot on top of that can be a lot tighter. So we just pull that a little bit there. All right, cut that excess off or weave it in, however you do. Pull this or push this inward so it's hidden, nice and hidden. And if you did want to add a smiley face, just get it within the 2 eyes and maybe add it from here to here, or if you want a smaller one, from here to here. Completely up to you. Use that black cotton yarn if you have any. All right, and there we go. There is the finished result of your watermelon turtle. So beautiful. Look at these. Thanks for watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.